I need some baseball talk. The Cubs con has me itching. Who's batting leadoff on opening day, boys? I'll just sit back and listen. I'll give my take at the end.
I haven't even thought of that yet.
Just to put you on the spot, just a little bit.
I'll throw out one.
Thanks, Go Cubs, Go 2023. By the way,
if this guy shows the plate discipline that he showed at the beginning of the year, I know a lot of preseason people have had him penciled in at like 4, but Seiya Suzuki. As much as I you can say what you want about Nico, and I wouldn't be mad if it was Nico either, but like, I don't know, Seiya showed for his first year in the major leagues, coming over from Japan, and the plate discipline that he showed at the beginning of the year, his ability to, produce long quality at bats and get on base. I wouldn't hate it.
I dig that. Joey, what do you think?
Well, I like Tyler's idea because I think he's got such great plate discipline that he's a guy that can hit leadoff. And then you're kind of penciling him in as that right-handed Kyle Schwarbian-like guy because he can hit for power. He has speed, so he has more speed than Schwarber at the top of the order, and he's got those great on-base skills. We saw him get gypped by a ton of strike calls last season, right? So, I mean, he's a guy that with great awareness at the plate. If some of those turn the other corner and go the other way for him, I could see him racking up even more walks, and you would expect the strikeout rate to come down because he's another season in this process. We knew the first season wasn't going to be perfect. He also dealt with injuries. But for me, honestly, though, I kind of like him better in the middle of the order because I think he's going to have that huge power outburst season. So I want that guy 3, 4, or 5. It's just me personally.
I wouldn't hate that either.
But Tyler, your point though, like that's the reasoning behind this. I actually love that mentality here. And Jake says, I agree with Tyler. I think it should be Seiya based on OBP, but I also want his power in the middle of the order. Yeah. So
literally exactly what you're saying.
A little bit of both. Yeah. And roster resource right now, real quickly, has Nico at the top of the order, Dansby Swanson second, Happ third, Seiya fourth, Hosmer fifth, Mancini sixth, Bellinger seventh, Morel eighth, and Tucker Barnhart ninth. Let me throw out like a random guy that maybe I kind of want you guys to think about this a little bit. I'm going to throw out, this is very unorthodox, and I don't love it, but if he's going to be playing every day anyways, and he's a veteran, I know we just picked him up. He's going to a new team, but he probably should transition decently since he's, 33 years old. Eric Hosmer hitting leadoff.
I need you and Jake on a show together for 3 hours, Joey, because you guys have been hitting on the exact same points this entire freaking show, and it's starting to freak me out because Jake's thought with his comment here is, oh boy, it's gonna be Hosmer unless we face a lefty.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, Jake. I was tuning into the Dinger show again, like we said. Check them out. Check out the show from the other night with Cole Wright, and they were posed the question too, and that was something I threw in the comments, and they kind of discussed it a little bit and kind of broke down all these different options. So that was a question that I had heard discussed leading up to this, but Hosmer was something I had in mind because, I mean, you look at his on-base percentage the last 3 seasons, 333, 337, 334, projected, like Jake had mentioned on the show as well, 225 to 332, the projections show him. We don't have a ton of high on-base guys still on this team. Like, really right now, you have Happ, you have Seiya, you have a couple other guys, but even Nico Horner's not a great on-base guy because he doesn't walk a ton. Hosmer's a guy that's not going to hit for a ton of power, so fuck it, man. He stays out of the double play if he's hitting leadoff unless his turn comes up, around the next time and there's guys on base, even though we know he's going to hit the ball on the ground a lot. So I don't hate it to start with. I really don't.
Juice, talk to me. What are you thinking?
I think it's hard to project because of the rule changes as well. Like, we don't know how much they're going to run. That's it. And you would hate to have a guy like Hosmer at the top without, some plus speed. Maybe they're trying to steal. And that's the other thing too. If we're looking at this offense in terms of lineup production, we'll probably project that the Cubs aren't going to score as many runs as we think, right? They're going to have to try to buy a lot of runs, moving the ball, advancing, stealing bases, being more active. I think in that case, it probably ends up with somebody with a little bit more speed than Hosmer at the top. With that said, all points make sense, right? It does. Like the on-base thing is still a driving force of what the league is anyway. It's all about getting on base. And I don't care, if he's in front of you, bogging you down and you can't run as much. It doesn't matter until after the first at bat anyway, because it's going to be all out of order anyway. It's a conversation that I think there is no true good answer, right? Because if you move a guy like Nico or a guy like Seiya to the top, you're taking him out of maybe potential RBI chances early, but maybe towards the later in the game, it doesn't matter because, it's just a lineup spot anyway. Once these guys start to walk and get hits around there and it doesn't matter. The lineup just kind of fills itself out. It's all about just getting the guys that you want, who are your better hitters per se, more at bats in those 1 through 4 slots. So I think they'll just take the 4 best they have going, and maybe spring training influences it as well. Maybe you get a guy who's hitting real well in spring training and you're like, all right, I'm going to ride this in the leadoff spot as long as I can. Maybe the leadoff spot very much comes how we think like maybe the bullpen might come to the closer situation. Maybe it's leadoff by committee, and whoever's hitting well at the time is getting more bats towards the top, because there is some pros and cons to putting every single one of them at the top there. I don't hate them at all. I like the Seiya idea. I just think at the end of it, it'll be Nico Horner. I really do. That if I had to bet, I think at the end it'll be Nico Horner. I
think real quickly, sorry, Ron, just to kind of continue Juice's point here, or talk about it. I think what you're saying about the speed makes a ton of sense. And at the end of the day, too, with Hosmer, it really comes down to what you were saying about, do you really want him as one of your top guys getting that many plate appearances throughout a game? And I'm not sure that I would. So that's where it's like, this is a very, very tough question right now for David Ross or anyone trying to make it. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we're gonna see a lot of this where everybody has different answers. And to that point, Go Cubs Go 2023 says, I'm gonna go say Hap, but he did follow up in saying Suzuki was a solid pick. In addition, Jeremiah begs the question of why not Morel? So I think we're gonna have this debate here, and then you get Go Cubs Go also saying Hosmer versus righties and Horner versus lefties. Here's my thought. Oh, hold on. And Jake's one is he says he's a Madrigal stan, and I don't know if it worked defensively, but I'd really like Madrigal. And yeah, Jake pioneers the Madrigal fan club. Like he is
in the DH spot.
I mean, he might
the DH spot
surprise
off.
Well, that, or he might, who knows, he might surprise the hell out of us and plays third base fairly well. You know?
There are reports that he's going to play third. I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows? Guys, my pick, and the reason for my pick, I share a pick with one of you guys. And I have a very specific reason that I like. As soon as I think leadoff and what's on the team already, and I think of what I would want if I was playing baseball and what I've seen work for a team that is constructed a certain way, your guy at the top of the lineup can be a you go, we go kind of player. We saw it with Dexter Fowler in 2016. The leadoff guy doesn't have to be this OBP specialist. Obviously, it's ideal. He doesn't have to be this speed specialist. Obviously, it's ideal. You want a guy that can just is going to show up in the moment and is not afraid to be the guy to open shit up. We saw Soriano thrive right as that big home run in the first at bat kind of guy. Like he was the power in the leadoff spot, but it ignited ball clubs. The guy that's going to ignite this ball club is Nico Horner, and that's why I think he should be in the leadoff spot. Because again, here's the thing. Sure, maybe he goes 85, 90, 95 games where his first plate appearance is an out, or maybe even probably more than that statistically. Let's just say all but 50 games he's out in the first at bat. But what happens when you get that leadoff home run out of Nico Horner? What happens when you get the triple right out the gate? What happens when you get that double that maybe he hustles out? Or what happens when he's just poking it in the right, but he starts running on the bases and maybe steals second and it's a missed throw and he ends up on third because of aggressive base running? He's the guy that can check all of those boxes of bringing the excitement back to baseball. We're going to see more doubles, triples, and stolen bases.
He's still in 30 bases this year.
Hoerner's a guy that is conducive to where the new game is going, and I really think he would be a true gem, honestly, in the leadoff spot. Because, again, for the 120 times or 110 times he's getting out in the first at-bat of a game, man, those moments where he does something magical in the base, that ignites your team. You got the momentum is right out the gate. First at-bat of your lineup. You got a guy who's going to bring a spark when all things are said and done. Tyler, what's up?
And just to like set it off even before the game, what if he shows up every game with that freaking turtleneck and jacket that he had ready to, looking like a freaking Russian serial killer, just ready to slit your throat and then take your girl.
He looks like the U.S. version of James Bond.
Yeah.
I said to Joey, why did our middle infield look like Vampire Diaries while they were walking out there for the? Because both of them had the turtlenecks on, and one looked like a bad vampire, and one looked like the good one. But hey, whatever brings people to the ballpark, and I don't care what they look like as long as they're hitting.